Welcome back. This is part 2 of my 124 scale Mega/Monster truck build. At this point, it is a full-blown monster truck. The only thing that made me consider it being a mega truck was the lack of scale tires. However, I was able to get these 125th scale AMT model tires. In the last episode, I said I was going to start with the front axle, but that didn't happen. Well, I did start on it, but it won't work with this truck. It turns out the WLtoys parts are a bit small for a 124 scale monster truck. I am going to use these parts. It'll be a 1/32 build with this Spin Master body. More on that some other time. I ended up using parts from a 124 scale ECX Barrage. I intended on doing a build series for this, but after designing the chassis, I couldn't help myself from trying to print it. Once I had the chassis, the fun of building the truck outweighed my motivation to make videos on it. So let's start with going over the chassis. This was the first full frame that I printed. It is lacking mounts for everything. It is more of a test to see how 3D printing would work for a frame like this. I tried printing with zero support. I tried printing with very small tubing. Eventually, this is what I ended up with. Originally, my plan was to make a brass tube frame. This turned out so well, I'm going to stick with the 3D print. I designed this wheel in 2 pieces because I was unsure on how easy it would be to stretch the tire over the bead. Turns out it's pretty easy. I still like the 2-piece wheels though, because I like the look of the screws on the inside. When I decided to go with the Barrage parts, I still wanted to try to use the stock 4 links. They're pretty short, so I designed this adapter to use the Barrage 4 links with this chassis. Since I extended the wheelbase, I also needed to extend the drive shafts. This extension just slides over the circular part of the transmission side drive shaft. I was going to glue them in place, but right now it's actually just a press fit. If it starts to slip, I'll just put a little dab of CA on them. Here's the transmission mount. It attaches to the transmission through the dust cover mounting holes. This allows me to center the drive line in the chassis. The frame mount for the transmission is slotted so that you can adjust the CG up and down, or you can adapt other transmissions to the truck. There are front and rear servo mounts. The ESC and receiver mount to a plate inside the cab. I never intended on using the Barrage axle, so this is kind of a band-aid. The stock shock mounting positions were a bit too narrow for this chassis, so I made this mount, and it actually just clips onto the housing, and it puts the shock mounting locations where I need them. I wanted the truck to be adaptable to many different parts, so I made the shock mounts separate from the frame. There are 3 mounting points on the frame. One is hidden behind the shock right here, and then there's 2 upper mounts. Doing this allows you to add whatever kind of shock mount that you want. I made the battery accessible in the bed. The plate has a slot through it for some Velcro. I'm pretty happy with the way the body came out. I don't have all that much 3D mesh modeling experience. There are certainly a few areas that could use a few more polygons to smooth things out. The windshield was cut out of a strawberry container and I glued it into place. There are 6 mounting points for the body. Actually, no, there's 8. There's 2 in the front, 2 in the rear, 2 on the left side, 2 on the right side. But I made this body mount that gave me a few extra points so I can mount the bed and the cab. The first noticeable problem is the drag brake on the Barrage ESC. Seems to only affect the truck when going forward. The top speed is decent, but the acceleration leaves a lot to be desired. It needs more power. With this gearing and tire size, the motor gets pretty hot. I'm already working on a custom transmission that will use a 180 size motor. That should fix the acceleration and overheating. The turning radius is about what I expected. Rear steering will really help tighten it up. I'm having a servo centering issue. I think it is caused by a combination of a weak servo and a soft suspension. You can see the body roll. A sway bar might help with this. That's all I have for now. Leave a comment on what you think about the truck. If you like it, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. I have a lot of ideas for upgrades and new projects I would like to share. All of my STL files for this truck can be found on Thingiverse for free. There's a link in the description. Thanks for watching.